Welcome into episode 8 of Short Shifts, the North American Hockey League podcast. I'm Brandon Hawks, joined, of course, by Vinny Paracelli. Vinny, it's been a minute since we've been together. Right before Christmas out at the NA3HL showcase. But we got a lot to cover, a lot to get back into, and some of the standings we think may have changed a little bit. Some things may be boring or stay the same as they have been, but what have you been up to?
I like bringing up the boring comment right away because we definitely heard about that at the NA3HL showcase. I stand by that statement, and it gets wins though, so I can't argue with it. Shout out to RA out in Lone Star. The weird part about this one is that we are kind of in the same city, but we're not at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different, but 2023 is going to bring us some good content. We got we're over halfway in the season. Playoff races are actually starting to heat up now. Every game is critical, right? So we'll dive into it and we'll get more involved, and we'll tell you kind of how it's been going here in the NAHL so far.
TPT as well, right around the corner. Before you know it, the 3HL playoffs will be starting in March. Fraser Cup finals will be coming up, and then it'll boil down to the NAHL coming to wraps as well. But we can't forget about the NAPHL as well, as that'll wrap up next month totally with the Dixon Cup. But yeah, I guess let's just dive right into it. The Central Division, Austin's still leading right now, 21-5, 3-4, 49 points, streaking 5 points in 5 games. They're 3-0-1-1, past 10 games, 5-2, 2-1. Weekend sweep over Aberdeen last weekend, 4-1, and then a 4-2 win against them as well. But coming up, they got 4 games in a row against St. Cloud. They got 2 this weekend, and then next weekend after on the 20th and 21st, we'll be playing them again. So I'm guessing a little bit of a pot will be stirred between those two. I mean, seeing each other 4 times in a row is almost like being in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a playoff series, right? You're trying to win 2 out of 3, or in this case, 3 out of 4. Austin, they're kind of weird. Like you mentioned that record in the past 10, they've only won half of their games, but they've gotten points in 8 of those 10. And that's what's really been helping them. If you look at the standings, they've got 12 losses overall combined, but 7 of those have come in extra time. That's 7 extra points. And when you got an 11-point lead in the standings, those loser points are big. And I was looking at some stats earlier, like in 1-goal games, Austin's pretty close, but when when it's separated by 2 or 3, they're like 7-1, 6-0. So like when they beat you, they beat you. Or you get close and they get that extra bonus point, and they keep hanging around. Like I was asking this question, earlier in the week, I go, is Austin 11 points better than the next best team in the Central Division? And you kind of look at all the numbers and you go, well, yeah, they get past that 60-minute mark. They play you hard all the way until the end. They're gonna fight with you, scratch and claw for every point, and that's what's gonna get them in the playoffs. That we saw that kind of last year with Maryland. They had like 12 overtime losses and just missed out on the playoffs by a point. I mean, that 1 point could be the difference of the number 1 seed or not getting the playoffs at all. So I mean, you gotta give them credit that they fight and claw for the entire 60 minutes. They got a nice, well-rounded group, and they've been playing well, so you got to give kudos where they belong in Austin. They took care of business with Aberdeen. That was a big sweep for them in order to be up by double digits now in the standings.
Credit where credit's deserved. The second place, Minot Minotauros, 38 points. Aberdeen, like you just said, they come in at third place, just 1 point behind Minot with 37. Fourth place, North Iowa Bulls, 34. St. Cloud down at 5th place with 30 points, and then the Bismarck Bobcats, 27 points. So like we kind of said, I think first place is going to be kind of solidified with Austin if they keep their ways that they're going right now. But that last 3 going into these few last months of regular season play is really going to be interesting to see how it kind of pans out.
Well, and Bismarck got everybody wherever they want them, right? Last year they were in the doghouse, this time last year, and they put together a heck of a run in January, February, March, and got into the playoffs and almost upset the 1 seed St. Cloud. So I mean, you can't doubt those teams that are out of it right now. St. Cloud's only 4 points back. Bismarck's only 7 points back. I mean, that's nothing for them. It's time to put it into gear, but plenty of season left. And, St. Cloud's got Austin this weekend. They can make a statement this week and say, hey, we're not ready to go down just yet.
Right. Let's go over to the east side now. Maryland, they continue to hold that top spot in the East Division, 24-7, 3-0. 51 points, currently 4-0-1-0 in their game point win streak, whatever you want to call it. 4-4-2-0 in their past 10 games played. Christian Catalano, he still leads the team 37 points, even despite having a 7-game silent streak without a point. 22 goals, 15 assists for him this season. Sean Kilcullen leads all defenders, 27 points, 6 goals, 21 assists. And William Hackinson still taking most of the time in net for the Black Bears. 22 games played, a record of 15, 3-3 at 2.30 goal against average and a .90 save percentage. Jack Weineke, 8-3 record, 2.717 goal against average and .889 save percentage. He has not seen a start, though, since December 10th. We talked about them having that huge slip there for a while, and I'm guessing Hackinson had a pretty good talking to kind of figure things out. Like I just said, we haven't seen Weineke in between the pipes since over a month ago. So I'm guessing there was kind of a talk there with him to get things going with their goalie coach, assistant coaches over there. But, yeah, I mean, without Catalano kind of getting things going, I believe Piku kind of stepped up for a few weeks, and then Catalano now kind of getting things back into where he belongs. But talk about them. I know we said that they were going to not be touched, but there's a few teams creeping around, and we'll get to the New Jersey Titans. As we both said, they're going to – Craig Doremus knows what he's doing. He's the puppet master back there to make these guys do what he needs them to do.
Yeah, touch on Maryland first. You said Catalano, 7-game pointless streak, finally starting to figure it back out, leading his team. Brad McNeil, the captain, stepped up quite a bit. Dimitri Kibru has been kind of quiet as of late, it feels like. We haven't heard his name as much. But, I mean, I think, like you mentioned, they had that little slide there. They lost, 5 out of 6 there for a little bit, but they're starting to get back going, 5-game points, like you mentioned. I think that, for Maryland, it's just finding that offensive touch. I think in those games where they just struggled, I think they ran some hot goaltenders. I think they were getting shots, but maybe not the quality shots that you expect them to get. I'm not going to sit here and say that the East Division race is over like I did maybe a couple months ago, because like you mentioned, the hottest team in the league is right at their tail. We'll talk about them in just a second. But, they were getting contributions from everyone early on, and some guys have kind of, I want to say slacked off, but they've quieted down quite a bit maybe. Teams to maybe learn how to play against them a little better after watching some film. So it'll be interesting to see what second half adjustments that they make here going forward. They got the hottest team in the league right in their tails. Why don't you tell us a little more about the New Jersey Titans?
Well, the New Jersey Titans, like we kind of said, that championship hangover maybe at the beginning of the year, but they're on a crazy point streak right now, 15 games straight with some points. First half of the year was pretty slow, but currently 8-0-1-1 in their past 10 games. 42 points right now, and I don't recall the last time we checked on where they were, but leading that team is Michael Young, 34 points. He's a veteran guy. 13 goals, 21 assists in just 26 games. You got Anthony Calafiore, a returner as well, who won the Robbie Cup with them last year. 28 games played, 30 points, 14 and 16. Brandon Dumas, 30 games played, 30 points. So, I mean, you go up and down that lineup, you see a lot of returning guys from last year who know what it means to win, know how to win. They've won, and they got the coaching staff to back them up to help them through that. Their netminders, to be honest with you, I haven't really kept up with who's been mostly in net for them, but I believe it's been Ramirez up there, and then Cole Nee has played quite a bit, and then Zachariah Bryce. So I guess they've been not Coleman Nee, sorry, but Zachariah Bryce kind of taken 17 games this season. But I don't know. New Jersey Titans, you better watch out for them.
Well, you mentioned a lot of those returners there. Levante Caressis is there as well. He's one of their leading scorers. And then the trade I think that really helped them is Dominic Barteco. He's played 13 games since coming over from Amarillo. They haven't lost many of those games. I don't think any of those games in regulation since he's been there. In that time, 7 goals and 18 points in his 13 games with New Jersey. He is obviously on fire and really brought a spark to that club. You know what? And I think, like we mentioned the hangover, and we have not talked to Craig Doremus directly about this, but I mean, I think that trade was probably a little bit of a wake-up call being like, hey, if you guys aren't going to work hard, or because like we said, it's championship hangover. They might think, oh, we've done this before. It's middle of the season, we got time. And I think Coach Doremus like gave them that little bit of juice that they needed and said, all right, here we go, boys. Let's get this rolling. And I think we got to also like kind of just speak to how good Maryland was in the first like 20 games of the season, because a 15 game point streak and you're still only 9 points back of that first place team. Like they're not even in sole possession of second place. Like the Northeast Generals also have 42 points. So I think that just goes to show how bad they were in those first 15 games. And since then, they've been lights out, and they've been they've been destroying teams too. I mean, they put up 7 the other night against Johnstown. This team, like you said, they got that championship pedigree. They're ready to go. And I think a lot of those returners were kind of sick of us saying, they don't have it this year. We've been very good motivators. We can speak to that because we know for a fact we've been getting some crap from everyone around the league, which is good.
It is. It means people are listening. It means we have some fans, if you will.
Yes.
Right behind them, like you said, Northeast Generals, they're technically tied for second place with them. 42 points, 19 wins, 11, 3-1. And then the Maine Nordiques. I brought them up a while back, saying that I think that they're going to possibly be that final team that sneaks in. They sit right now at the 4th place spot. A lot of veterans on that team. 34 points, like I said, 16-12, 1-1, 5-4 in their past 10 games played, but a 2-game losing streak, but what have you. 5th place, Philadelphia Rebels, 28 points, tied with the Johnstown Tomahawks, 28, and then the Danbury Junior Hat Tricks, who just had some coaching changes over there, so hopefully they kind of get something figured out on the forefront going forward, I guess, over there in Danbury. Anything else you want to add on the Eastern Division?
I think that Maine, Philadelphia, Johnstown, I think it's going to be a little more – I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think down the stretch, I think Philly is starting to figure it out and get hot at the right time. Can they sustain it? We'll see. But I think that race for that 4th spot is going to be very interesting over the next couple of weeks.
I agree with you. So we'll move over to the Midwest side. If we had maybe, I don't know, a 4-faced quarter or maybe a dice with each 4 of these teams' logo on it and just randomly threw it at a wall every day to see which one landed on the top, that would be the Midwest Division, as it's just a complete back and forth. Fairbanks currently leads it with 43 points. Behind them, the Minnesota Wilderness with 42. Behind them at 3rd is Kenai with 40. And then Janesville with 39. So a 4-point difference from 1st to 4th place. It's been back and forth all year long, like we said. Currently 5-game win streak, though, for the Ice Dogs, as they currently are 6-3, 1-0 in their past 10 games played. Billy Renfrew leads this team in scoring with 29 points. Defenseman Jacob Congrad leads the Blue Liners with 22. And then Caden Hargraves, he continues to be a force between the net. 17-8-2-0 record, 2.54 goal against average, 0.928 save percentage. Huge friend of the show. We'll get him a t-shirt. If he listens to this episode and tags us on Twitter, he'll get a free one. So, Caden, listen up, buddy. No free shout-outs. Anyways, Midwest Division, it's a coin toss.
And then out of all that, you still even mentioned like the best, most notable player in that division right now, Adam Guyon of Chippewa Steel, who just had an amazing World Juniors. So if he comes back to that club and performs the way he did in that tournament, I mean, he had goals scored on by Connor Bedard, who is more than likely going to be the number 1 overall pick in this year's now NHL draft. I mean, he had 53 saves against Canada in the 4-3 loss. The kid was outstanding. He's been obviously one of the top goaltenders here in the NAHL. So can they ride him to a playoff spot? The Steelers just 3 points back of Janesville for the last playoff spot in the Midwest. And even Wisconsin Anchorage, I mean, 5 points out, nowhere near out of it. Aiden Weston just committed recently to University of Alaska Anchorage. He's over a point a game guy, 2nd-year guy in the league. I mean, every team in this division has weapons, and I would say still has the chance to make the playoffs. And like you mentioned with Fairbanks, okay, they're currently the hot team with a 5-game winning streak. They're going to play against Kenai River this weekend. So that's going to be a battle that Kenai, you might see by the end of this weekend, could be in 1st place. Or they can split and Minnesota could sweep their series and they can be in 1st place. Or maybe Janesville, wins 2 games. Everybody else, you have no idea. Like you said, you just roll a dice and see what happens. You'll get a new result every time. So Midwest
I think we
Division
should make
wide
that.
open.
By the way, I think we should make a dice with all 4 of those teams' logos on it.
I think so. So dice has 6 sides, right? So I think we definitely put the 4. Put the 4 in. I think we just put in like the top. We'll put in the 5, and then like one side will be like, as of now, like we'll look at the standings when it happens. But like Wisconsin and Anchorage are both tied for 6. We'll just like put in like a mini logo and then like another mini logo. Springfield's got to get a few more points, get included. But then we'll just roll it each week and okay, all right, why will this team win?
It's a wild.
We'll just try to Ooh, we can have a wild spot too. That's actually a wild spot.
I like that. Yeah,
I like that too.
Thank you. Yes. Speaking of World Jays, speaking of World Juniors, as you mentioned, that NAHL had 7 players at that contest. So congratulations to all those guys from our league that were showcasing our league. A lot of good and positive words were said about our league and our players throughout that event. So that was really cool to hear and see. So just a little side note there. 7 NAHL current players over there playing in that. Anything else?
And we had the coach, former Amarillo coach Dennis Williams, won gold as coach of Canada.
Correct. Yes.
So we also, not only do we produce players, we also produce winners.
Winners, chicken dinners. Love it. South Division. I'll let you. Lone Star, they lead still.
Yeah, they're the most boring team in the league. They lead. Ryan Anderson's gonna have a field day with this, and I love it.
I think we need to get him on. We need to get him on this podcast.
He would be a sensational interview because he's got a lot of stories. I don't know if we can tell them all here, but I know that he would give us some insight into that locker room. But Lone Star is currently in first place, 50 points. They just keep on winning, 7-1, 0-2 in their last 10. Nothing exciting. They don't blow anybody out. They've scored goals, though. They have scored more goals in recent times. So I have to say the offense has picked it up. But if you look at their team, Mason Mara has 18 points. Ryan Kamashak is 17, Matt McDonald 16, Rosenquist 16, Nate Mann 16. You got to just go through the list. There's 13 guys with double-digit points, so they're getting contributions from everyone. And then you can't ignore arguably the top 2 goaltenders in the league, and Arthur Smith and William Graham. Statistically, Arthur Smith and Graham are first and third in goals against average, so you can't really say much about that. And then save percentage-wise, they are second and fifth. Oh yeah, Arthur Smith also just happened to be in a tie for league lead for shutouts with 4. So I mean, if you're getting contributions from everyone, you're not really relying on one line, and they're scoring more goals. They're not. Let me say this nicely, Ryan. They're not as boring. They're scoring more goals, but they're not giving up any. So they're playing quality hockey, and sure enough, they find themselves a 5-point lead in that division. Oklahoma's right behind them. Oklahoma still has not lost a home game.
Right.
They've only played 9 home games, and I believe that's including the 2 of the showcase because the computer doesn't really differentiate. So I don't think they haven't had any home games. So what that means is the second half they're gonna be home a lot. So maybe that's their bread and butter. They just don't lose at home, or very seldom lose at home. They can make up points that way. Hottest team in the South though are those pesky Shreveport mud bugs. 6 in a row, 9 of their last 10. Playing a really good hockey. They just swept El Paso this past weekend, giving up just 1 goal in the 2 games. I think scoring 11, I think 6-0 and 5-1, or maybe I had those mixed up. Either way, Shreveport's really good right now. New Mexico's kind of separated themselves from the pack as well. So you got those 4. All 4 of those teams made the playoffs last year. All 4 putting themselves in position to make the playoffs again this year. Amarillo hanging around 33 points, 5 points out. Odessa with 29, El Paso with 22, and Corpus sitting at the bottom with 17. But we said that the 4 teams from the South. We said this at the beginning of the year, and it wasn't. I think it was before the podcast. But we said look at those 4 teams, and we said which one of those 4 teams is going to be out. And we kind of looked at the rosters. We saw it was coming back, and kind of went through. And we're like, I don't know if any of those teams are coming out. And as of now, no one's coming out. They've proven that they are the top dogs when it comes to the South Division.
Yeah, and if you look at their goals for, it's the lowest, third lowest, 4th lowest in the South Division, 89 goals for, and then the lowest goals against in the entire NAHL right now, which is bonkers with 53. So, yeah, definitely not scoring a lot, but not giving up anything.
So nothing at all.
Nothing at all. 53 goals in 30 games. Do the math. I can't.
That's less than 2 a game.
Look at that. So good stuff out of the South. Took care of the 4. Anyways. So good stuff out of the South. I mean, I obviously I think Lone Star's going to keep it moving and keep playing that B word that I'm not going to say because I don't want to get beat up by Ryan. So you can say it all you want, but good stuff.
I'm not afraid to say boring. Look, it's so they've had a lot of home games. It's just so ho-hum. It's like you look at the schedule, you see that Lone Star's at home against somebody, and you go, all right, well they're probably gonna win that game 3-1 or 4-2. So I've almost like penciled it in each week. Like I'm more surprised when I see them lose than I am when they win. Which because frankly they've only lost 3 games in the last 10. Only one of those in regulation, so they're always gaining points. And I will say. We're just teasing Ryan Anderson. We love him. He's a friend of the show. So I mean he's able to take a joke, but for real though, he's like no. Like we tell the boys like this is boring. Like no, we use that as motivation. So I'm glad I could be of help once again to a team in the league.
Heck yeah. Let's throw this in the mix. The stars of the month from last month. For December, Michael Young, New Jersey Titans, forward, defenseman Daniel Dozenko? Did I do that one right?
Dozenko? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's close. And then Simon Buchler.
I think Buchler, yeah, right the first time. Yeah. Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt yourself.
Okay. I know. Thank you. I needed that. Let's talk about Michael Young. Obviously, leading the Titans right now in scoring. He took this game to another level in the month of December as the Titans continue to climb the East Division standings. 5'11", 184-pound native of Kings Park, New York, led all NAHL players in scoring during the month of December with 14 points. He had 4 goals, 10 assists in just 7 games played, and that included 4 games during the month where Young recorded 3 points. For the season, Young is 3rd in the team with scoring with 28 points in 24 games. I want to talk a little bit about the defenseman of the month, Vinny?
Real quick before I do that, though, I want to point out Michael Young started the year with an injury. Only played like that first weekend, missed the showcase. Then missed basically 3 to 4 weeks of action by the time he got going. So it's good to see him kind of back to full form, I would say, and seeing him lead that Titans resurgence. All right, Wisconsin Wendigo. We mentioned how they're kind of toward the bottom of the Midwest standings, but they had the goaltender of the month in November. Now they have the defenseman of the month in Dozenko. Played only 6 games in the month of December, but he had 5 points, 2 goals, 3 assists, plus 8 rating. He's from Russia. He recorded at least 1 point in 4 of his 6 outings and also had a multi-point game. He is currently committed to UMass Lowell, and he is getting it done on both ends of the ice. The quote here from the coach, his presence on both ends is a big part of their success for the month. He works tirelessly at his game and is being rewarded for that with this award. It's great to see hard work pay off, and I look forward to watching his growth continue as we push into the second half. So, I mean, you get it right there from Blake Catella, Wisconsin Wendigo. He's been a leader on that blue line. They had a very slow start. They were at the bottom of that division. They haven't really worked their way up per se in terms of actual ranking 6th, 7th, whatever. But I mean, they're right in the thick of things. They're 5 points out of a playoff spot, so they're right in the hunt. They got roughly 30 games to go. He's going to be a force in that blue line to definitely be taken seriously as we go forward.
Goaltender of the month, Simon Buchler at the Shreveport Mudbugs. During the month of December, it was a big one for the Mudbugs. Goaltender with Simon. Not only did the 6'2", 185-pound native of St. Laurent, Quebec, make an NCAA commitment to Mercyhurst University, but he was one of the NAHL's best goalies during the month. Posted a 6-1-0 record in December, which included a 1.69 goal against average and a .931 save percentage as he stopped 149 of 160 shots in the month. So big one for the Bugs down south. I'm sure Soupy had some great things to say about him as well. So there you go. There were the stars of the month for the month of December. This next part here, I don't know how this slipped us from our last meeting or last episode, I should say, but we have 2 new teams in the league.
Yeah, we do.
I don't think we mentioned it. Rochester Junior Americans out
was it official at the time? I don't want to
I think it was.
Absolve us of blame. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was. We were caught in the moment. just calling teams boring and saying that they weren't showing up to play, whatever, things that we do. But
that's fine. Two new teams,
Rochester Junior Americans, who will be playing out east, and then the newest one, the Colorado Grit, who will be playing in Greeley, Colorado. They will join the South Division. So pretty cool stuff there as this league continues to grow. Colorado Grit, I think that's a heck of a name, a heck of a logo too.
Yeah, I find I like to say I'm pretty good with geography. I really didn't realize how close Colorado was to Mexico. I kind of forgot that they're border states.
They are a border state.
When I first saw it go south, I go, okay, I don't know how much that makes sense. But then I actually looked at a map for the first time and actually, looked at it. And I go, oh, it's not that far from Albuquerque. No. Like it's only like a 12-hour drive from Dallas area. So I mean, that's not, that's nothing when it comes to the South. I feel like when you're going from Albuquerque to say Shreveport, right? So yeah, it fits right in that footprint a little bit. Colorado Grit is definitely a unique name. The logo, as you mentioned, is pretty solid. Rochester Americans, speaking as a Western New Yorker, I like to see teams, our footprint expanding down to the Western New York area. Obviously, Buffalo is a hockey hotbed with the Sabres on the rise. Yes, I said it. We're on the rise. I don't
not
get it twisted. Obviously, you got Canada close by. I know there's so many guys you could take from international players, but you got a plethora of players right there that you could recruit out there. And then obviously that footprint in the East, I mean, you got one team in every state. It seems like you got the one in Pennsylvania, you got New Jersey, you got Maine, you got Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York. I mean, you got a nice little, a very nice East division where it's, teams are close together. The geography is pretty good. Those bus trips aren't that long, but they're still, still ways away. But that division, getting that 8th team will definitely help them in terms of, everyone's playing every single weekend. We don't have as many, say bye weeks as we might call it.
Right.
So I'm really excited for that group. And I know that the owner of the team, they also own a bunch of Wegmans, which is a grocery store chain out east. I'm, no free shout outs, but that's just a fact. No free shout outs, just a fact. Yep. They have pretty good subs. So if you're ever out east and you want to get Wegmans sub, just, I'm letting you know that's a pretty good option.
A grocery store sub?
They got a really good little restaurant area inside. It's pretty good.
Okay. I've never been to a Wegmans, so I'll have to give it a shot if I'm ever out east. I don't know how far west they come.
I would mention they're mostly in the Northeast. I would mention their competitor. It's a very good jingle. It's a pretty good knock on them, but I'm not gonna hate on Tops right now.
Oh,
well,
I just dropped their name.
Well, the Wegmans people love it, so
Yeah, exactly.
If I'm talking positive about Wegmans, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But the Colorado Grit, though, they got a heck of an ownership
another
group as well.
Hockey bed too.
Yeah. Oh, well, yes, and you got Colorado College. You've got Air Forces obviously nearby. You've got you got plenty of schools in that area as well. So I knew I was missing one. I couldn't remember what it was. You got DU nearby. So I mean, you got Division I schools that are always going to need players. They're going to be taking that short drive over to Greeley and looking for the next wave of talent. So it's a good spot for them. I mean, Rochester, you got RIT, you got obviously just mainly the Northeast schools that are relatively little hop, skip, and a jump away. So that's right there, and that's a hockey area. So yeah, the NAHL expanding to 31. I say this with no inside information whatsoever. I would just like to see one more just to get to even number because I like the even number. I know we're at 29 for the season, and it's just a weird number because you got to get the U.S. team involved for the showcase, and you do some scheduling things there. I'd like to get to an even number. 32 is kind of right up my alley. I would imagine it would have to be a South Division just because that would make 10. I don't know. I really have no idea. I'm not trying to foreshadow. I have no idea what's happening, so I'm not giving any insider information away.
Right. No, not one bit. Another good thing, too, for Greeley is they're about 8 hours from Omaha, D1 team right there. And then Sioux Falls coming up with Augustana. They're 9.5 hours from Sioux Falls. So another good spot for more exposure for our players. So it's a good addition as well geographically for the league.
Easy to get to as well. I mean, there's a lot of places going to Denver. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, let's I guess we're going to toss it over here to our interview for tonight's episode or today's episode. Aaron Pionk, NAHL Alumni. He's going to be playing in the BioSteel All-American game, which is coming up this following Monday, as we're taping this today on Thursday, January 12th. But so we're going to toss it right over here to Aaron. Welcome back. This player spent a part of his high school season while playing at Hermantown with the Minnesota Wilderness, then playing the entire following season with the Minnesota Wilderness, where he appeared in 51 games, totaled 28 points from the blue line. He is currently committed to Minnesota State University and is now playing in the USHL with the Waterloo Black Hawks. And this upcoming week, he'll be playing in the 2023 BioSteel All-American game, which features the top American-born prospects eligible for the upcoming NHL draft. We would love to welcome to the show Aaron Pionk, the defenseman. Aaron, how's it going, man?
Going really good, yeah. Having a good day here. How you doing?
Doing good. You guys got games tonight, and then obviously you're going to get ready to head up here to where I'm at in Plymouth, Michigan.
Yeah, we got Des Moines tonight in Des Moines, and then back home tomorrow night, Young Arena.
Right on. And then when do you head off to here to Plymouth?
Sunday morning. I think flight's out of Cedar Rapids at like 6:30 or something like that.
Okay. So let's kind of talk about that. We'll kind of jump into this BioSteel game, obviously, which is a really big accomplishment. And first off, congratulations. How'd you hear about the news, and how did that come about?
Yeah, it was just over Christmas break, and our general manager called me and thought I was in trouble for a second there when he called me. But yeah, he just told me and let me know, and he wanted to be the first one to tell me. So I was super stoked over Christmas break. Nice little Christmas present for me. But yeah. Just my GM called me over Christmas break.
Knowing how many like big stars have gone through that game, what's that kind of accomplishment mean to you to be able to be saying like, "Hey, I was a part of this game as well"? I mean, it's a huge honor for you guys, you know.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I mean, yeah, I looked through all like the old rosters of all the guys that have played it. I think there was like Zegers in there and a couple of those guys, and it's crazy like how good this game actually is. And then to like count all those guys that move on to the NHL or just have like great college careers or other pro hockey league. I mean, it's just insane like what this game does for players and like how good it is for like scouts and stuff like that to see all you guys out there.
Speaking of what this game can do, obviously I know, and some other folks know, you come from a hockey family. We talked about that when you were at the Top Prospects game last year. But let's just dive into it a little bit more. Obviously, your brother Neil plays for the Jets in the NHL. Your brother Nate, who's also NAHL alumni, played D3 college hockey, then moved on to play in the ECHL, currently with Indy.
Yep.
Your brother Joe, he just hangs out and does some equipment stuff in the AHL. And then your dad, he's coached everywhere, and he played as well. But kind of just talk about being, obviously your oldest brother is in the NHL, your second oldest is in the ECHL, Joe is around hockey as well, and then you being the youngest of this family and obviously seeing the top of the top, and how that's kind of been a benefit for you growing up, how you learn from all those guys above you.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I mean, growing up, like seeing all my brothers like play in different leagues like that, like I got to honestly get a feel for it and stuff like that. Like they tell me like about all this stuff that happens in junior hockey and stuff like that. And so like I have some of an idea like before I even step into league. Like last year playing North American League, like Nate, he gave me some ideas of what it was going to be like, and like he was exactly right with that. And Neil playing in the USHL, like going to all their games, like myself, it's awesome. Just like seeing all that, and then like now especially like all them playing in pro hockey. Besides Joe, but he's also in the American League. But I mean, they're all in 3 different leagues. But like, hopefully, if my career like gets to professional hockey, like I'll know all the different phases. Like one's in the East Coast, one's in the A, one's in the NHL. So I mean, I think I have a good feel for all 3 leagues if that happens.
Right.
All right. Would you say your brothers are more encouraging, or do they kind of give you crap because you are the baby in the family, and you're still working your way up the ladder a little bit?
Probably a little bit of both. I mean, I think it's just going to come as being the youngest brother, you're going to get crap from them. Especially like this year or last year, I wore a cage in the North American League. And so this year they were on my case about not having a fight. So this year I got in one finally, but yeah.
Did you win?
It's a little, yeah, I think I did, but I mean,
we'll say you did.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's like encouragement in the way of giving me crap. I mean, they're always like pushing me, but it's, yeah, it's constructive criticism, honestly, I think.
100%. Learning from those guys as well. Obviously, somebody easy to lean on, having some brothers that have been in your shoes and are now guiding your way to the next level. Let's talk about that year, your final year of high school. You guys made it to the finals in Minnesota high school hockey, which is, I've never been up to the event. I heard it's a spectacle. I know your older brother Joe very well, and the second that starts, he's locked in watching every single game. I don't think he can name a professional football player to save his life, but any high school stat he knows. So let's talk about that a little bit. You had a huge overtime goal in the semifinal game, and Hermantown, the Hawks, you guys went on to go to the finals. But talk about that experience and how cool that was to go to that spectacle that is Minnesota high school state tournament.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, there's literally nothing like it. I mean, you're playing in an NHL rink. Like, no one can say like they even do that in their lifetime, but we play in it. Playing in there, and then I think in my junior year, it was a semifinal game against St. Cloud. Both small schools, small towns, and they I think it was almost sold out, like the Xcel Energy Center. Like, you don't see that like anywhere else. I mean, for a single A game, for a semi game, not even the championship, to be sold out is crazy. But I mean, the double A games are pretty much sold out, all the games besides like the third place and stuff like that. But I mean, it's crazy. The experience is awesome too. I mean, you get to meet a lot of the guys, stuff like that, and you get a really good experience being there.
Right. So obviously finishing up that season, and unfortunately you guys lost in the finals. You find yourself just down the road from Hermantown and Cloquet playing for the Minnesota Wilderness. Talk about that transition. You only had a handful of games played, but you got your feet wet in the North American League. But talk about the difference from playing high school hockey and then going into playing some junior hockey.
Yeah. So right out of high school, I mean, I had it was either there or go to Minot and just kind of finish out the season with them. And eventually I just chose the Wilderness, and kind of glad I did. I mean, just stay home. I stayed right at home. Just played like 10 games is all I was allowed, and glad I did it. I mean, I played, I think it was probably about 6 games as a forward, and then a couple of the games are head coach / GM kind of just like switching back. He said, hey, you want to try out D a couple of games? Like, I think you might be a good fit back there. So I tried out a couple of games at D that year and got my feet wet back there as well. And I think they saw something in me when that happened. So, I mean, I'm glad I stayed at the Wilderness, and they put me back at D the end of the year there.
Yeah. Then going into year 2, now playing the full year, what were your expectations like? Like Brandon said, you got your feet wet a little bit. Now you're going to go play a full season. What's the expectation for you in that second year?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and then I was still honestly going to play forward that year. I got drafted by Sioux Falls Stampede and as a forward, and then eventually didn't make it. And our coach kind of brought me and said, hey, we're just going to play at D this year if you're all right with that. I said, yeah, totally fine with it. And so, I mean, just the expectation was just see what I can do back there. I mean, I think I knew I could. And when I started playing D, I was like, yeah, I'm going to hang at this. And playing the year before as D, I got, like you said, like got my feet wet, but then like I knew the organization as well. And so then going into year 2, I just, I knew like the day in, day out type days, and then what practice is going to be like and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was great starting the year there, finishing the year there, and then coming into the full.
So you obviously committed to Minnesota State. When did you make that commitment? Was that during your time with the Wilderness last year?
Yeah, it was, I think it was right before Christmas, actually, last year. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mentioned this last year when you and I spoke at Top Prospects Tournament, but your older brother, Neil, most of your family, you grew up right outside of UMD up there by Duluth. So were you a Bulldog fan growing up? And obviously that's changed. Now you guys got a household divided with the Mavericks now and the Bulldogs.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of had to be. I mean, went to the games all the time, and like UMD was just it's such a big thing in Duluth, and especially in Hermantown too. Like, I mean, I guess like about just like the Hermantown pipeline going to Duluth is just crazy. Seeing like there's like a bunch of pictures in the rink of alumni of Hermantown that are at UMD, and it's crazy. There's 10 of them or something like that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like being a Hawk and growing up there, like you like UMD, like it's kind of just a thing. And I don't even think growing up, probably not until I was about 13, 14, I knew about Minnesota State Mankato. But yes, I mean, growing up, I was definitely a Bulldog fan.
So a little more from last year's season. your dad has ties all over the place. It's crazy. Your dad coached for the Omaha Lancers, and your brother ended up working there. He coached for the Waterloo Black Hawks. Now you're playing there, but last year he was coaching, helping along with the Wilderness. How cool is that to have your old man out there with you? And did he beak at you a little harder than the other coaches did?
I don't think so. I mean, he was always on my case, like making sure I was in line and stuff like that. So it was good. But it was great. I mean, we were pretty good at the start of the year, and then we kind of fell off, and we were just struggling like a little bit. And I think we were letting up goals that shouldn't have been going in and stuff like that. Our defense was not great, and I think he saw that, just the coaching aspect of coming to the games. He saw like what the problem was, and I think he knew how to fix it. And so he reached out to Dave Boyce, our head coach last year, and just said, "Hey, like I got a couple of tips. Like, I mean, I can help you guys out, I think." And so he came in, helped out, and I really think it turned our team around, because I think it just got a new face in the locker room. And so like guys kind of just like dialed back and said like, "Hey, like we're switching this thing around." And I think we did. Like right after Christmas, we went on like a 6-game win streak. And like before that, we were like on a 9-game losing streak. So I mean, difference is crazy. Like I think bringing just a new face in general as a coaching staff, I think it just helps out so much, dials the guys back in.
When you guys went on a pretty incredible run to make the playoffs too, like as a whole, you turned it around. Like you said, it inject that new life in the locker room and kind of got the boys going. Would you say that was probably the key to maybe turn the whole season around?
Yeah, I totally think so. I mean, I think it was like right before Christmas, I said, when we were on that losing streak, but I think we dropped almost out of the playoff run. I think we did actually. And then we fought our way back. I mean, we won a couple win streaks, and we win 2, lose 1, win 1, and then we kind of just like scratched away at it and finally found ourselves back in the playoffs. I think it came to the last game of the regular season. It was either we win or it was like Janesville loses or something like that. And I think they lost, but we ended up winning that game as well. So I mean, we got them in like the last game of the season. So I mean, yeah, it was great.
And then talk about that postseason a little bit. You guys were hot. Then you had an injury, right? Where was it a leg? I forget what it was, but then you missed a handful of games, and obviously then you guys called the season there after that. But just kind of walk us through the postseason and the feel in the locker room and all that stuff.
Yeah, like you said, I got hurt. It was in March up in Kenai, Alaska. I tore my MCL on my right knee.
Because you didn't have a cage on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was out like 7 weeks, I believe. And so, I mean, it was just up to those guys. I mean, like they played their heart out in the first round, and they beat the first team in the Midwest, Fairbanks. They had a really good team, and they went up there and they met business. And so they won the first round, and then we went back up to Alaska again to play Anchorage. And tough one. And then I think we lost the first 2 up there, so then we had to play the third one back home. And that was actually my first game back, was the last game of the season. We ended up losing, I mean, it was crazy. I think after that first win in after that beating that first round in Fairbanks, it was just crazy. I mean, I think we knew we had it, and then sadly our starting goalie went down at the time. He had some bad hips and shoulders like goalies do, but down in Anchorage. And then I mean, our backup came in, he played lights out, but I mean, they snuck like 1 or 2 past him up there, so then we had to come back. And I think we were all kind of down because we were missing one of our goalies. And we lost the first 2 up there, so it's going to be another grind. But great postseason for us.
Speaking of that grind real quick, I mean, you had to go to Fairbanks, come back, and then go to Anchorage. I mean, what's that like on the body, like going up to Alaska as often as you did?
Yeah. Well, originally on the schedule, we're supposed to go up there once. We went up to Anchorage and Kenai for 2 weeks. And so we're like, oh, sweet. Like, we got the benefit of it because, I mean, all the other teams had twice or whatever. And so we only went up there once, and then we went up there 3 times total. But, I mean, I was hurt, so I didn't have to go up there for the Fairbanks weekend, luckily, honestly. And then, I mean, I could just tell, like, from those guys, like, just getting on the plane, switching time zones, getting back – at like 3 a.m., going to bed, waking up for the next game next week. Like, it takes a toll on your body like none other. I mean, it's crazy. But, I mean, I give all props to those guys for putting on the gear every day and getting back out there.
Yeah, that's going to be physically and mentally draining. I mean, I'm already tired and we're in Michigan, which is only an hour ahead. Like, gosh, I couldn't imagine that. Or behind, whatever you want to do. But, crazy crazy season for you in the NA, but obviously now you found yourself here in the USHL in Waterloo. Talk about this season so far and how things have been.
Yeah, it's been great. Like you said, like my dad coached here, so I think him having history here has just been so awesome too. Because our trainer here is still the same trainer. I think it was like his first or second year when my dad was here.
Oh,
And so,
really?
yeah, the fact that he's still here is just crazy. I mean, he's seen everything. So I mean, but just being here has been great. I mean, the history in this town is crazy for the Waterloo Black Hawks. I mean, I think we're like one of the oldest teams in the league.
Yep.
So I think all the fans on Saturday night is just none other, because Friday night, my dad actually told me this, but Friday nights, the John Deere plant has a night shift for the workers.
Mm-hmm.
So like we get a pretty good crowd on Friday nights, but on Saturday nights there's no night shift for the workers. So they all come out to the games. So our Saturday night games are packed all the time.
Party town.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy.
Yep.
Like we sell out our Thanksgiving game every year. We sell out.
Yep.
Justin Saturday is going to be sold out because it's military night. So it's crazy.
I was gonna say let's get into this. Like, I don't want to call it breaking news, but like the most recent news
Oh,
that we
yeah.
just got 20 minutes ago, maybe?
Right before we hopped on the podcast, we got a text about this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
tell the people, Brandon. Tell them.
Okay.
Go for it.
So, Aaron, might be breaking news to you as well. I don't know if you've been on your phone during this, but Central Scouting just came out with their report, and you were ranked 81st on the entire list. So,
Oh wow, yeah, I don't know that yet, but
yeah,
thank
congratulations. Now you learned here breaking news on short shifts. Let's go.
yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Let's. I want to talk a little bit about last year's NHL draft. You were on that list as well. Maybe hoping or expecting might be a wrong word to use, but hoping to hear your name called. Walk us through the draft. Put us in your shoes. Put us in where you were, and then the feeling that kind of came when you didn't hear your name, and what you're going to bring to this big event coming up on Monday to darn hear your name be called this upcoming year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was hoping. I mean, I think everyone hopes when they're eligible for the draft, like they go. But honestly, I have the biggest expectations. It was my first year playing defenseman, so I mean, I can't expect a team to just be like, yeah, we'll take him. I mean, he had a decent year, but yes, I mean, I was hoping I would go, but I mean, honestly, happy I didn't. Just because, I mean, like in the USHL draft, my first year I got taken 7th round or something like that by Sioux Falls.
Right.
I mean, it was just kind of like, yeah, we'll take this guy. He's still on the board, and then happy, like, they honestly dropped me because the next year I was eligible again, and Waterloo took me, I think it was like 4th overall or something like that, 2nd overall, something.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, I was hoping I would go last year, but I mean, kind of glad I didn't, because I mean, it just gives you another look, and for the scouts to take a look at me and be like, hey, like, where's this guy come from last year, now this year? Hopefully all good. And it also just like gives you another drive. It's be like, yeah, didn't happen, but now let's get back to work and get higher in that list. Yeah.
And your older brother, Neil, who has played in the NHL for quite some time, he wasn't drafted either.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was like just a smaller defenseman when he came in, but he knew how to play his game at that size. And just went to UMD and kind of lit it up there for his 2 years, and then got signed up there. And he's probably honestly glad that he didn't get drafted either. Because at that point, he had to sign with a team that really wanted him, and the Rangers didn't want him at that time. Now he's moving on to Peg, but I think he's probably happy with that decision as well.
Yeah, he had free reign to pick where he wanted to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna say getting drafted's fun, but I mean, you don't get a choice. You kind of gotta just go with what you got.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, he just found out he was 81st on the list. Like, what's your reaction to that? I guess because, like you said, you're kind of glad you didn't get drafted last year. Kind of proved to the scouts that, hey, I could do this kind of thing. And now you're, I'm not really that good at math, but 32 teams ranked 81st. That's a third round type thing. So, like, what's your reaction to seeing your name up that high on the list?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think breaking that top 100 I think that's like kind of a little like line that just says like, hey, you have a lot better chance this year of like actually taking a look. I think if you're below the top 100, like you're not going to get taken. But I mean, I think if you're above that top 100, like that gives you a lot better chance, I guess. And I think that means people have a lot more faith in you as well, like when you're put up that high. But I also just take a look at it and just be like, yeah, there's 100 USA guys here on 81st or whatever, but there's also Europeans and Canadians, stuff like that. So, I mean, it like, yeah, like it's good, but I mean, I still have a lot to work to do and a lot to prove because there's a lot more guys that are just as good as me or the same style as me.
Right. Let's one more before we let you go. Just kind of talk about your experience in the North American League and some stuff you learned about junior hockey and how it prepared you for this next level you're at, and then going to the next level, which is collegiate hockey, and bringing you obviously to the BioSteel All-American game. No free ads.
Yeah, I mean, last year it was a great experience. I mean, staying close to home. Just like I didn't have to be anywhere else. I stayed at my grandma's house actually last year. Great to spend time with her. But I mean, so I knew the area. I knew like everyone around me and all that stuff. And then we also just had a great group of guys. I mean, we'd hang out every day. Like I know a lot of junior guys. I'm doing it this year, but I mean, a lot of guys just go home, get on Xbox, and start playing video games all day and whatever. Right. I think last year no one even like played Xbox. Really, we just go to each other's house and hang out, which was just awesome. Like, yeah, not a lot of teams do that, but I mean. So it was great. I think we were a super tight-knit group. And then just also like the game type aspect, like there's a lot of older guys in that league. So, I mean, you honestly learn a lot from them. You learn how to protect yourself on the ice. But,
right.
I mean, you learn a lot just like on the ice as well. Especially guys I've seen like the North American League from different divisions, different leagues, like Canadian leagues and stuff like that. Like they teach you a lot. And then just moving on to up here, I mean, it's been great also just because I don't feel that old, but I think I'm the oldest one on the team this year. Like we have so many 05s, 04s and stuff like that. It's like, wow, like I'm a January of 03 and I'm the oldest one on the team. Like it's crazy. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy from going like last year I was middle of the age, kind of lower end, younger guy. Now I'm the oldest one. So, I mean, it's pretty cool to see, kind of be more of a leader in the locker room. And then I think it just helps you so much move on to the next level. You said like collegiate hockey, like I'll kind of be like at that bottom rank next year, like the younger guy, freshman coming into school, 20-year-old freshman. But yeah, so it'll be awesome next year as well.
Enjoy the back of the bus while you can. We have to go back to the front.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Start packing the bags again.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Aaron, we appreciate your time, man, and good luck. Congratulations on everything that you're doing, that you've done, that you just found out today. So congrats on all that, and we'll be rooting for you. We'll be watching at this game coming up this week.
Yeah, sweet. Thank you very much.
Want to wish Aaron the best of luck at the BioSteel game this upcoming season in the USHL with Waterloo Black Hawks, and then after that at Minnesota State University. And obviously the NHL draft is coming up this summer as well, as he's still draft eligible. So hopefully we hear his name and he gets to hopefully have some boots on. It's in Nashville. Right on stage. Yeehaw.
It's gonna be a good time. Yes. Very good time.
Heck yeah. Right on. So speaking of right around the corner as well, Top Prospects Tournament in Pittsburgh is coming up. We have the coaches for the NAHL posted on our website, the NA3HL coaches as well. So hop on over to NAHL.com and look up all that. The rosters will be coming out here shortly as well. That's right around the corner too. So hopefully we'll see some good talent out there.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear for everyone that may not know, these are the best uncommitted players remaining, as our goal here at the NAHL is to get kids on to the next level at the college level. So it'll be guys that are uncommitted or guys that have been handpicked by NHL Central Scouting that they want to get an extra look at for the draft in Nashville, like you mentioned. So top uncommitted guys and a handful of guys at NHL Central Scouting is like, yeah, we got to see that guy there.
Yeah, 100%. So again, those rosters will be coming out here shortly, and then TPT is the beginning of next month, so early February. Promos still going on, so go head over to shop.nahl.com, 10% off using short shifts. Again, like the last episode, I did one of these where it said short space shifts. Might do it again. Right there. Hop on over again. It's shop.nahl.com. We're getting some new merchandise as well, some short shifts hats, some new NAHL merchandise as well. So anything else you want to add, Vinny?
No, get your merch. Get those buckets better be nice when they come in. And TPT, February 6th, February 7th in Pittsburgh. Come on out. Come see us. Come hang out.
Yeah, come hang out. Might be doing an episode there as well. So hopefully see everybody out there. Again, thanks for signing on. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. That helps our YouTube channel, helps our Apple podcast as well. You'll get notifications whenever we come out with a new episode. We swear we'll get back on schedule. It's just been a crazy last few weeks for us.
Holiday season happens.
What do you expect? Yeah, we're back home hanging out. All right, well, that does it for episode 8. Thanks again for tuning in to Short Shifts. I'm Brandon Hofstra with Vinny Paracelli. We'll see you next time.